Okay, so I'm back. Hi everyone. Some things is on my mind again. I wanted to talk about forgiveness. Forgiving, forgiving yourself and forgiving others. Forgiving others for the things that they've done to you and forgiving yourself for the things you've done to yourself and the things you've done to others and the things you allow others to have done to you. Um, let's talk about the forgiving yourself for the things you allowed someone to do to you. I picked that one first because for me, it's tough. For me, that's tough. Um, cause it's hard for me personally to forgive myself for the things that I've allowed someone to do to me. Um, because I always looked at myself as a person that wouldn't tolerate certain things. But sometimes you do. You just tolerate things that you should not tolerate. So I find myself beating myself up a lot and being angry a lot about a lot of things that I allowed for someone to do to me. Um, so I'm working on that transition of forgiving myself for that and understanding that, it was my fault, but it wasn't my fault. Um, and I'm praying to God about it and just working through it. And that alone is definitely a struggle for me personally. A struggle for me personally. Now let's go to forgiving others who, you know, have done forgiving that person who has done you wrong. Um, we're not God. We're not. And those of you who believe in a higher power, believe in God, believe in Jehovah, whatever you believe in, um, we're not a higher power. We're not God. And for me, I believe in God. We're not God. We're human beings with feelings here on this earth. And when someone does something to you that hurts your feelings, especially a loved one, a family member, a husband, a wife, a child, a cousin, a niece, a nephew, and someone who you thought was your best friend, and they do something and it hurts you to your core. It's kind of tough to forgive them and trust them. They cross boundaries that you thought they would never cross. Um, and a lot of times when people do that, when they cross these boundaries, um, it's hard for you as a person to relate to that and understand, like, how could that person cross those boundaries with me? What did I do? The first thing usually the first thing is you ready to jump back at them. The average person in response is ready to jump back at them. But later on, you're thinking to yourself, what did I do to make that person think it was okay to do that to me? You start questioning yourself. And you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. It's just that particular day, that's how that person felt. We all go through what we go through, and we feel a certain type of way on some days, you know. And just on that particular day, that's just how that person felt, and they felt like that they were going to let you have it and go in on you. The presentation of it should be better, definitely. But again, when people are angry and people are upset, they don't know how to present things. Okay. What else did I talk about? I talked about forgiving, just and how you forgive yourself, how you try to forgive others, how you forgive yourself for hurting others. Okay. Forgiving yourself for you being the hurter to others. The first thing you have to do with that is acknowledge the fact that you were wrong. That's the first step. Acknowledging the fact that you were wrong. You were wrong. You were wrong, and you did something wrong. Sometimes you might not have been wrong, but the way you presented the situation again was wrong. So this is where you have to go deep inside just self to find a way to make sure that that person can forgive you. If you truly respect that person and you feel like you need that person's forgiveness to move on with your life. If you don't respect that person and you don't feel like you need that person's forgiveness to move on with your life, then so be it. So be it, and chalk it up and move on, and keep it pushing. It's what it's going to be. We all just think it's easy to forgive. And there are a lot of people out there that are automatic forgivers. They forgive, and a lot of those people that are true forgivers are very blessed. They're blessed, and they're happy, and they're just lovely people to be around. But those are people who found themselves. They found themselves. They're content with themselves. And God has them. God truly has them. We all say we believe in God. We go to church. I haven't been in church in years. And I'm a person who do believe in God, and I know He has me, but I'm not at that level yet where those people who can forgive people with no problem and it doesn't bother them, and they just move on. I am not at that level yet. I can sit here and admit that that's not the level that I'm at yet. I'm working on it. I would love to reach that level, to not be bothered by someone else's pain that they inflict on you. When someone inflicts pain on you, it's because they're angry with themselves. They're not angry at you. A lot of times they're not angry at you. Most of the time they're angry at themselves. And sometimes we gotta have to be a little wiser and recognize that and see that and try to deal with that in a different type of way. It's not easy. It really isn't easy. We're human, we're flesh, we bleed, we have feelings. So we don't always, react the way we should react. You know, most of us are always on the defense. Why? I don't know. Some maybe because of your past. I don't know. Maybe because that's just the type of person you are. I don't know, but it's extremely, extremely, extremely difficult for me as a person, and I know it is for others, to just forgive. Just forgive. But I can tell you the times that I have forgiven people for hurting me, how I felt. And it definitely is an awesome, awesome, awesome feeling, because it's just like you wipe that slate clean. That's just something that's off your list, off your mind, off your back. It is awesome. It's an awesome feeling, unlike when you hold on to it and you don't let it go. That pulls you down, makes your shoulders feel heavy, you feel sluggish. You try to throw it on the back burner, but it's still gnawing at you, gnawing at you, gnawing at you. You know, but again, like I said, we're human. We are human. Don't get me wrong, we all need to be accountable for our actions. We all need to be accountable for our actions. Number one thing, we just need to be accountable for it. Is that's what it is. It's what it is. We need to be accountable for our actions. We need to be held accountable for our actions. And if you are a true, honest person, you're going to hold yourself accountable for what you've done or what you're doing. You are. You are. So, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Forgiveness. That was kind of sitting on my chest a little, because I had a little issue today with someone, and it was just sitting on my chest about it, and up here, tossing, back and forth whether or not I should forgive, what they did, and or what they said to me. And I'm still debating on it. A part of me does forgive them already, because I realize, like I said before, that it's not me that they're angry at. It's themselves that they're angry at. So a part of me forgives them already. But then the other side of me is like, nah, fuck that. Fuck it, because what they said was wrong, is 100% wrong. Don't accept the apology. Let them know why you do not want to accept the apology, and call it a day and dead it. So I'm in a toss up there right now, between that particular situation. But I'm sure by the end of this week or whatever that I'll have it figured out. I'm sure of that. You know. Um I don't know. I don't really know. Life is a challenge. It really is. Bunch of curveballs. Every time you get out of bed, there's a bunch of curveballs. And I don't think a lot of people were prepared for that. You were born, you had a childhood, like I mentioned in my last segment, talking about my mom and relationships and how she brought us up and things like that. And we it's in your upbringing. It's in your upbringing. And when life can be very, very difficult for people, because when you have a childhood, your childhood is fun, exciting, and things like that. And a lot of times parents don't prepare their children for the real world. They just let them be children. And I have a problem with that. There's nothing wrong with it, but again, there is something wrong with it. Let them be children and prepare them for the real world, because that's what my mother did for us. Again, there was things that she lacked, but I feel like the best thing she did for us was to teach us how to survive. So that's why I say, when this world is tough, me and my two brothers were able to get up every day, put our clothes on and our shoes on, and walk out that door and do a 9 to 5. Okay. Instead of going out there and doing a different type of hustle, that's an illegal hustle. Okay. Our mother taught us that if you want to survive and you want to be good, you get out there and you do a real 9 to 5, not a hustle. It's not something that can get you locked up and thrown in jail. So, that is one of the reasons why people find life extremely difficult as an adult, because they have an image. They have this fantasy world as a child, and everybody sugarcoated. A lot of people have got sugarcoated in their life. Oh no, don't show them this. Oh no, don't show them that. Oh, we'll wait. And by the time they were shown these things and taught these things, it was kind of a little bit too late. So they done already went through something, and they don't know how to deal with it, because it wasn't taught to them. It wasn't shown to them. Our mother, she was on it. She was on it from day one. She showed us how to survive. She just showed us how to deal with people and how to handle people and how to handle ignorant people. Prime example of how she taught us well. I can remember, I'm going to say this last thing, and then I'm going to go and end this. I was 11 years old, and in primary school, elementary school. And we're sitting in class, and the teacher is handing out papers to us. So what they used to do is, in rows, sometimes they would go up and down the row and hand it, but sometimes they wouldn't. They would just hand the number of people that's in that row, and they'll hand it to the first person in the row, and then we take one, pass it back, take one, pass it back. Okay, so there happened to be this male student, who was sitting behind me, and he happened to be white. Okay. And I just want to point this out because you want to know where I'm about to go with this. So, me being a young black kid, he was a white kid, red hair, freckles. So, I must have been moving too slow for him because he comes out and says, "Hurry up and pass the paper back, you nigger." What? I was 11 years old. Woo! Hurry up and pass the paper back, you nigger. The average 11-year-old would have jumped up and punched him in the face. Would have jumped up, "What you call me? I ain't no nigga. Blah, 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 blah." Boom, started fighting, right? Got suspended. The average. So, me, because I was raised by the woman that I was raised by, handled it so smoothly. So, I turned around and I said, "Excuse me? What did you just call me?" He said, "I called you a nigger." I said, "Ooh." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Do you know what that word means?" He said, "Yes, I do." And I said, "Oh." And I said, "Well, what does it mean?" He said, "A black person." I said, "Oh, it does?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Who taught you that word and who told you that definition?" I'm 11, he's 11. This is what I said. He said, "My mother." I said, "Oh, she did." He said, "Yes." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Well, let me tell you something." I said, "The true definition of the word nigger is an ignorant person. And that would be you and your mother. Now go home and tell her that." Love it. I'm 47 years old and I still remember that story. I was 11 when it happened. I love the way I handled that. Love the way I handled that. Most children at that age would not have been able to handle that situation that way. The reason I remember it is because it was very shocking to me because I never had to go through anything like that. Never had to go through anything like that. But because of my upbringing and the way my mother taught me how to handle myself, I handled it very well and I knew how to respond without getting myself in trouble. And again, that was me throwing shade and throwing hands without physically having to throw hands. And that's how you got to get people. You got to hit them in the head with their ignorance. You got to hit them in the head with their ignorance, not physically hit them, but let them think with your words. Make them think with your words. So, this boy was just stuck on stupid. And, I went home that day and I told my mother what happened. And she actually happened to know his mom. And so she obviously somehow mentioned it to his mother. Well, the next day or a couple of days later, the boy comes back to me and he apologizes to me for what he said. And I looked at him and I said, "It's okay. You just didn't know any better. And now you do." You gotta love it. You gotta love it. I loved it. I loved it. I was so impressed with myself and so impressed on what I remembered, how my mom taught me how to handle situations like that instead of flying off the handle. And those was a lot of reasons why me growing up, why I never really got into any fights, because I was able to handle myself and diffuse the situation with just words, making that person think even more. making them realize that what they're talking about and what they're saying and the anger is not worth it. It's ignorance. It takes a lot to do that. And I was proud of myself. Love it. So I'm gonna end this little session. Peace out. Love y'all. Next time.